Mother, man.
Hey, I'm John Duke. I'm Chuck LaBosse. I'm Derek Cole. We're Immortal Possession, and you're listening to Murder Metal Mayhem.
Spreading faster than a case of the clap in a trailer court. Able to shatter eardrums within a 666-mile radius. A podcast more brutal than all the rest. It's Murder Metal Mayhem! This is Pete Altieri with the Murder Metal Mayhem podcast, and I've got the privilege of doing this interview with Immortal Possession, the death metal band from Winnipeg, Manitoba in Canada. I've got three of the guys with me here on Zoom, and I've been really looking forward to this one. How is everything up there in the frozen tundra of Canada?
Hey, Pete, it's great to be back. It's actually pretty warm here, so we're happy about that compared to what it normally is.
Oh, God. Last winter, I felt so bad. Shane was telling me, he's like, dude, I'm losing my shit. It's like feet of snow, and we don't get nearly the snow you guys get down here, so I don't know how you deal with it. I'm not a fan. I was when I was a kid and when school got canceled, but that's about it. So yeah, you guys can have it, but hopefully, it's maybe a little bit more of a mild winter and won't be, bad like it was last time. All right. Well, John, you did the interview with me last time when we did your other project, Votov, and we're both bass players. So I thought I'd have you kind of go around the horn, or if you guys want to take turns and say, what you do in the band, and then mention your other band member that's not in the video here with us.
Okay. Well, I'm John Duke, and I play bass.
Awesome.
I'm Chuck LaBosse, and I play guitar, vocals, and I record and produce the albums, do the videos.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
I do. And the artwork and all that for the disc.
Yeah.
Really? Wow. That's impressive, man. I was going to say the artwork is killer. I forgot to mention it in my review. But I love the cover, dude, with the Mort safe. We'll get to that. I'm anxious to talk to you about that. Sorry, Derek, I didn't mean to step on you over there.
Not at all. Yeah, I'm Derek. I play drums. I record my own tracks, my own home studio here.
Oh, cool.
The house that I'm in right now, and that's my role in the band. And the missing guy is Lee Arnone, and he's a rhythm guitar player, and he lives in a different province.
Yeah, and he just had some surgery too, didn't you say that, John? So he's recovering. Yeah. So sorry he couldn't make it, but thanks to wanted to mention him, of course. Now you guys are definitely old school death metal. I was surprised to see that you started back in '89 because I'm an old schooler too. So that's how I go back. I started playing bass in '84. But, I like that, and I see that all of you, got your pedigree. But what sort of death metal influenced you guys in the early days of Immortal Possession?
Stuff like Hellhammer, Celtic Frost, Possessed, and then Death, of course, Morbid Angel, Deicide.
Right. The typical stuff, right?
Yeah, like when we were starting out, we were like into the Possessed and the the Venom and all that kind of stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
Because it was heavier, and we liked metal like Priest and Maiden and stuff, but I personally heavier and more evil. So when that kind of stuff came out, I really liked it, and I liked the vocals especially, right?
Right.
And then, but then later on, death metal came out. Like people would say to me, "You sound like Obituary," and I'm like, "What's Obituary?" And they're like, "Oh, it's death metal band." Or "You sound like Death." It's like, "Oh, what's Death?" And it's like, it's like, "Oh, okay." But I just want it to sound like Possessed, pretty much, So.
Yeah, I remember when Seven Churches came out, I was completely blown away. I was like, "Holy shit!" Nothing sounded like that. Nothing.
And it was evil.
It was very evil.
Sounds like that, which is crazy. Yeah.
What's that, Derek?
Nothing still sounds like that, actually.
That's true, man. That's true. I did see Jeff Becerra was able to take a few steps with some artificial legs they made for him, so that's really friggin' cool. But I've dealt with him a couple different times years ago, and super cool dude. Yeah, so yeah, love Possessed for sure, and a lot of the bands you mentioned, John, same here. Big influences on me as well, but you know, it was a different time. That's why, you know, when I saw the '89 thing, I'm like, oh, that's cool, because I don't see too many bands that I talk to make me feel old as fuck. You know, they're talking about they started out when, you know, such and such was going on. I'm like, holy shit, man! Like that's. I got kids as old as you know, so it's weird. It's weird. So it's nice to talk to guys that get it from the era that I grew up in. Yeah. So Chuck, I definitely love your vocals, and thanks. I like the fact that they're up in the mix. Yeah. You know, back in my day, I sang and played bass, and I always hated it when the band's vocals were kind of buried in the mix. But yes. What death metal singers? I'm sorry?
It sounds weak when it's buried in the mix. There was one album, I forget if it was Cannibal Corpse or whoever, but vocals were too quiet, and I was like, nah, it wasn't Cannibal. It was somebody, but I was like, damn, I'm straining to hear it, and it's just, nah.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting that you do the mixing too. So, you know, you're mixing it how you want to hear it. And I'm the same way. I don't want the vocals to be overbearing, but I want to be able to really hear it, you know. So
I want to hear every instrument though, like completely. You know?
Right. Yeah, you should be able to pick them out. Yeah, I like the fact that on your mix you can hear all the instruments. I can hear them all distinctly. They sound great together, but I do like the vocals up a little bit in the mix like you did it. But what death metal singers were influential? I mean, we talked about a little bit, you mentioned, you know, Possessed, but, you know, and what about like today? I mean, what do you think the state of the death metal vocalists that are still out there?
Yeah, fun quite a bit. I don't really know too many bands, what's going on too much around. Like, you know, nowadays, I spend a lot of time recording and editing videos, doing artwork and stuff to the point. But when I'm doing art, I generally listen to older music, like from the 70s. Like I didn't listen to a lot of rock in the 70s, so I'm listening to that lately. Listen to a lot of metal from the 70s and 80s for some reason, because there's a lot of albums I skipped because I was right into the heavier stuff, and I was just like, fuck it, I'm just going to listen to heavy. And I missed a lot of good albums, right? So I did too. Yeah,
like that old Judas Priest stuff. The old Judas Priest stuff's really good. The Scorpions, awesome. Some of that stuff is killer, you know.
But as for modern stuff, like there's some really good singers, but I think the problem I have is the way stuff is produced. Everything is so pushed and it's aggravating to me on my nerves, and I'm like, fuck, it's just, I don't know. There's just something that's too much nowadays, and it's just like, fucking calm down, like be heavy, but not fucking out of my ears kind of thing. That's just me, I suppose. But you know, like it just seems like everything is pushed to the tits, and it's like it's just worse. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Yeah.
No, I hear what you're saying. It's like they're trying to, you know, that's why I mentioned in my review of you guys, it didn't sound like everything else I hear coming out now. It sounded more warm, if you could call it, you know, warm, but that analog kind of feel, which I really liked, the way it sounded. It definitely stood out because I hear a lot of stuff. I get asked to review a lot of stuff. There's quite a bit of it I turn down. I don't like giving bad reviews. So when I get a band that sends me something and I don't like it, I tell them, hey, you know, like this just isn't my thing. You know, thanks for sending it in and good luck, but I don't want to review it. And, you know, sometimes they get pissy about it. And it's like, dude, like I'm trying to be nice. Like I don't want to give you a bad review, you know, and I'm not just going to give you a good review because you're a nice guy. You know, like that's why I said to you, John, earlier, you know, like that. I meant it, you know, when I reviewed the album, I meant that's what I thought about it, you know, so But yeah, sometimes bands get weird about that, and you got to be able to take constructive criticism, as you guys know. I mean, you know, my band got some shitty reviews over the years, and it pisses you off. You're like, what? You know, but it happens, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It just does.
Well, you can't do everything to everyone, right?
Exactly.
Hey, years ago, even on YouTube, I got told, I'm going to find this guy and kill him, lad. Death threats and stuff. Back in the early days of the internet, eh? It's just like, oh my God. Or this guy sucks. And it's like, whatever. You know, who cares?
Yeah, we had a guy that hated us so much, he went out and got the domain. My band's was called Low 12. He got the domain low12sucks.com and created an entire website. I thought it was the funniest fucking thing I'd ever fucking heard. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, like seriously. And this is back when they weren't cheap. I mean, now you could get them for like $10. But back then, I mean, he must have spent a couple $100 on them. I'm like, what an ass, you know? So people just are stupid. I mean, got nothing better to do.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Now, Derek, I definitely love your drumming. You use every piece of that kit.
Oh, yeah.
And from following you on Facebook, I see you have a pretty wide range of interests. How has that affected your drumming or influenced your drumming?
Well, the way that I see it is the more diverse I am, the better I am to apply things to different projects, right?
Right.
So for this band, I'm bringing in definitely the death and thrash influence, which is why I think the Votov album that I'm on sounds the way it does.
Right.
And for the Immortal Possession album that we just did is something that's completely different for me. It kind of threw me for a bit of a loop. It took me a while to actually get used to the tempo changes and the time changes on this album. It was like something I hadn't really done before, where most of the bands I was in prior were strict 4/4 tempos, not too many time changes within the songs. Like the Immortal Possession songs are quite a bit different than anything else I'd done. And it's just made me a better player because of it. That's just the way I see it.
Yeah, I like the way you attack those songs because I'm not a huge fan of the blast beat. I like it a little bit, but like Chuck was saying earlier, it's like too much. It's like, dude, I get it. You can do
which
that.
Which is why I what I do. Yeah.
But
I don't use a lot of blast beats.
No, you don't.
Sporadically.
No, you don't. I like the way you do it. If you do use them, it's sparingly, and that's cool. Yeah. But it could be like way overdone.
I don't rely on it. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely like the way you play, and you could tell that you've got a varied background. You don't just sound like a cookie cutter death metal drummer, because that's what a lot of them sound like, you know.
I appreciate that comment right there. Yeah, that means a lot. He's got a lot of style.
Yeah, like I was saying in my review at the cymbals, I mean, I'm just hearing a lot of cool stuff that, you know, maybe as a musician, I'm listening for that kind of stuff. But, you know, that's how I listen to music is, you know, through my own ears, which, like I said, from playing for years myself. So
the subtle nuances, though, in a mix, they stand out and they get people's attention. That's kind of what I'm going for.
Yeah, no, it's a mission accomplished. Definitely, definitely. Now let's go around the horn with this one. I want to know, we'll start with you, John. What was your first metal concert, and is that what inspired you to want to pick up that bass and start playing?
I think the first show I ever got to see was Ozzy Osbourne, Diary of a Madman tour.
Oh, dude, Jesus Christ. That was amazing. I was there.
Yeah.
You saw Randy Rhoads then?
Yeah.
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 I was too young.
So that was my first experience. But yeah, I pretty much was determined to play music from a younger age. I just never really picked up a bass until after that moment in time. So
that's cool. Yeah, Bob Daisley, one of my all-time favorites. Of course, he didn't tour with them, but he's on all those albums. He's amazing. Great bass player.
It's terrible. It's terrible what Sharon did.
Oh, he got totally shafted. She's a total bitch. Yeah, for sure.
He just has better lawyers, that's all.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's
that they
true.
re-recorded all his parts.
Ozzy
Yeah.
didn't even like him, apparently.
Chuck, what about you?
My first concert, I can't remember, like, if, when was Sacrifice and Razor? What was that? That was 87 or something.
That couldn't have been your.
No, it wasn't. So I think my first one was like Judas Priest. I don't mind. I think it might have been Turbo from Judas Priest, you know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because I
Good.
didn't live in Winnipeg. I lived in the country, and I couldn't get to the city to come to concerts till I was like old enough, maybe 16 or something. I forget. But yeah, I think it was that concert, Turbo from Judas Priest.
Okay.
I remember mine, AC/DC 1998.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
He's
That's
younger than us by a
I
lot.
was going to
Yeah,
say he's a little younger.
I'm quite a bit
I'm going to
younger.
tell you mine was 1983 Iron Maiden Peace of Mind. I was at that show. Now I was starting to play bass before that, but after seeing Steve Harris, I was just like, holy shit, man, that was definitely bringing it. And like we've talked before, John, my all-time bass idol, Geezer Butler, Black Sabbath. I mean, can't go wrong with that. The tone just for days, tone for days. Very cool. I just thought that would be cool to hear from you guys on that one. Now, John, I know you're the bass player, and I love the way you play, and I love the way you get into it. I was giving you shit about this earlier today because sometimes I'm trying to figure out if you're hitting just a really tasty note or if you're like orgasming or if it's like a combination of both. The faces are great, dude. Great.
That purple vein in your head.
But those pictures you recently posted, those were so amazing because you're looking at it and it's like, this
like
dude is so into this. It's like there's no faking that. That's like raw emotion. I mean, it's amazing, really.
Yep.
I love it. I love it, man. It's just cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, just letting it go and just saying fuck it, but it's awesome stuff. I love the pictures. I was giving you shit about it, but honestly, I thought it was fucking cool as hell,
Yeah.
No,
So-
it's kind of funny because when I was younger, I used to draw lots and stuff.
Oh,
and the
okay.
kids used to always sit there, and I'd be drawing, and I'd look up, and half the class would be watching me. And it was because of the faces I made when I was concentrating.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
So again,
Kinda
it's
fits there.
I've never been able to lose that. It's just kind of what happens, and you get in the zone, and you just go for it.
No, it's awesome. Now, how does your bass playing differ in Immortal Possession as compared to Votov, or is there a difference? Do you play it a little differently, or do you just play it the same way in both bands?
I think my technique is pretty much the same for all my projects. I approach it. I like to hit my instruments hard and really play. So I like the sound of the attack.
Yeah, I love the fact that you play with your fingers too. That's my style that I prefer as well.
Yeah, it sounds awesome.
You can really hone in on your tone when you play with your fingers, I find. I've played with a lot of different bass players over the years, and every single time, the finger pickers were my favorites. I don't know why. It's just,
Yeah,
I don't know.
the first time I went to a real studio in the 80s, the sound engineer was watching me practice. And he's like, "Oh, you play with your fingers. We're going to have to change that." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he says, "You guys always play sloppy." And I'm like, "Well, I don't play sloppy. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about." So I started
that's crazy.
playing, and then he was like, "Man, I've never heard somebody play so tight with their fingers before." So he kind of went back and told me he was apologized for saying that, but I was like, what do you mean relearn? I'm gonna all of a sudden play with a pick like in a studio, like that I'm paying $100 an hour or whatever the hell, back then how expensive it was to go to a real studio. It was just like insane. So it's a totally different world now that we can all record like Derek was saying, home studios and doing that kind of stuff. It's really the only way you can do it for guys like us.
It's really awesome because I like to do vocals. Let's say it's 4 a.m. and I'm like, fuck, I want to do vocals. Like not like in this particular project, but in other projects, I'd be, we had a rehearsal spot and I'd be like 4 a.m. I'm going to do vocals. I've done some of my best vocals, you know, at that time. So it's like spur of the moment. You can't like, you know, I'll even say to Derek, hey man, I'd like to come do vocals. I come do vocals here, or I'll even do them at home sometimes. Like I live in an apartment, so it's not ideal to sing the way I do. But sometimes I don't care, and I'm just like fucking waiting for someone to knock on the door.
That's funny. Yeah, that's what's the nice thing about having this studio is I do. I don't know if you've heard the podcast, but at the end of each episode, I do a karaoke song, and I take the lamest shit I could find and just scream the death metal style. And, you know, my heart will go on. I mean, the most ridiculous shit I could find, I use it. And I could do it out here and scream all day long and nobody would care. But I've lived in like trailers before and places where it's not real conducive to that sort of thing. So I remember I had to tell my neighbor one time before I was tracking an album, dude, you're going to hear some fucking screaming and shit over there. Yeah. Don't think I'm like murdering my family and call the cops, you know? So it's all good. Don't worry about it.
Hey, speaking of which, can I tell you a quick little story? Okay, our friend Lenny Mill, he is where we recorded the original Immortal Possession album or whatever, right? And so he had a studio in his home, and I went there for another project I was in, and I was recording vocals. And then he told me, this is kind of funny, but he told me his young son was crying because he thought somebody was getting like bludgeoned in the basement or something. Eh? He told me that story. And I'm like, damn. And
it's sad, but it's awesome at the same time.
Cool. His son's cool. So his son is cool. Yeah. So
that's hilarious. That's great.
So it's a pretty cool story, though. I was like, damn. But I was really like, I was doing like
doing the gutturals.
No, I was doing highs like the Glenn Benton type of highs, like, you know, and it was like I was like,
oh wow.
It was a Serene Scalpel song.
Oh, was it Serene?
Yeah. So
yeah, when my son was like 6, I taught him how to start and stop to record. So when I was tracking, I didn't have to run back and forth. So he's like really little. And I was doing a karaoke song. I did the whole Grease soundtrack, which is pretty funny. And I did Grease Lightning, and he was timing it when I did the scream and Grease Lightning. It was like 20 seconds long. And he was clocking it. And he was like, Dad, that was 20 seconds long. And I thought that was just funny that like, he had the wherewithal to think like that I was going to want to know how long was that scream, you know? So yeah, kids can do some cool shit, but that's funny though about he thought people were dying because
I know
kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, thanks for sending me your new album, The Resurrectionist. It comes out December 9th on CDN. Love CDN. I got some good releases from them. Got a CDN shirt that I ordered. I heard the whole thing. When I wrote these questions just once through, I've listened a couple more times, but which one of you guys wants to explain like how the album came about? And, you know, I know that some of the songs or one of the songs is new, but the rest are from your past catalog of music. So how did this all come to pass?
Like the reason why we wanted to put out the album. He's asking,
Yeah.
Like, well, there's a backstory to this with like we getting offers, right?
Well, people wanted us to put out our demos and stuff, like, you know, the original cassette demos and stuff. And it's like you said back then, like, you know, we go into the studio and we only had a certain amount of time and whatever. Right. And even my own personal skills were like, shitty back then and whatever. We learned so much through the years. So we really wanted to record the songs the way we wanted to hear them, like, you know, with better everything, like, you know, all the equipment's better at this point in time. And then, you know, the time to take to record, no rush, like, you know what I mean? You know, that kind of thing. And we thought, it'd be like nice to be able to put out these songs because they're really good songs. And hey, why not? You know, we can do it. Yeah. It's our own stuff. So that's why, you know, I believe we wanted to do it. And plus, it's really fun to play these songs and to perform them as well. So why not? We could do it.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
we had a particular vision for how we wanted these songs to sound, and re-releasing the demos, it just
Didn't seem appealing to these guys.
no, not at all. And to be quite honest, after hearing Derek play and playing with him and everything, we were like, this is the guy who's going to bring that vision to life and help us make this the record that it was supposed to be 30 years ago.
Right.
And, that was a huge part of it. And then the other thing is, by coincidence, one of the guys that was asking us to re-release the demos was Craig Newman from CDN. And at the time, we were going up to Loud as Hell, and we had no product besides our first Votov album. And so we decided to quickly record a 3-song demo, and we made 100 copies, and we basically used it 2 ways. We were selling it at Loud as Hell, and then the rest of it we were using to shop around to try and get a manufacturing deal. And so that's
how the Immortal Possession contract.
So basically, at the time when Craig had contacted me, we spoke and kind of left it at, we're not really interested. But then after a while, I thought about it, and I was like, hey, this is an opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I called him back, and I was like, hey, how would you like to sign 2 bands? And
Very cool.
kind of worked. He signed Botop first. We put out IXXI. And then a few months after that, he signed Immortal Possession, and he just kind of said, take your time, get the album when it's right, get it out. And so it all worked out perfect.
That's killer, man. Yeah, it's I love the DVD, that I bought from you with these songs on it. You guys did, and you put that together, Chuck? That was really well done. Yeah. I love the GoPros. The way you guys did it was really cool.
Yeah, we had a buddy of ours that did. The guy who runs the cameras for the mass murder video and all that. He's a friend of ours, Dylan Bailey, and he came in for that particular night because we needed to.
Nice camera angles.
We wanted some good cameras and some more camera angles. You know what I mean, to work on. And for that, I don't know if you know, but for that we actually did the whole set twice in a row.
Yeah,
and I ended up choosing every song from the first set other than one song I used the second take.
So they're all one-take wonders, just so you know.
Live off the floor in the studio.
And when we did the first run, I was like, big smile. I was like, oh, I'm good now.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I don't care if we make a mistake. It doesn't matter.
We did quite good the first round through, yes.
Yeah, that's killer, man. I love that DVD. That's freaking
It's a lot of
really
pressure,
good.
though, because you have to perform well. You have your camera guy with you, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, you can't make a mistake with the camera guy right there.
No, you can't.
Now,
funny.
Derek, CDN has some really good bands. How did you guys, John said that, you got a hold of, or Craig got a hold of you guys about doing this, and how has it been working with them so far?
So far it's been good. We're just kind of in the promotional cycle for Mortal Possession right now, so there's
Right.
lots of work to do on our end still too. And
Right.
yeah, no, it's been good so far.
Good,
It's with the IP stuff. It's this time around he hired Metal Devastation PR.
Yeah.
So we're already starting to see some results from that. So
That's great.
We got some new likes on our account ever since we got the video out there too. So any sort of promotional use can very much benefit the album.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. Well, that's good. Yeah, he seems like he's gets the word out. I follow CDN on Facebook and stuff, and seems like just a good constant drip of what he's got going on. It's cool. It seems like he's behind it, with the releases. The Corrosive album, which I love, the new one. Seems like
great.
they're getting some good traction with that. So
Yeah, and he's got really reasonable prices online too. If you go
he
on his
really
website.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I bought a
It's one of the-
shirt.
one of the
I'm a shirt addict, so I bought a shirt. I bought one of your Votov shirts too. So I like supporting the bands, when I can, even though I know the shipping is brutal, for me to send like my books up to Canada. It's like, oh my God, I hate to even tell a guy how much it is, but it's expensive. So I get that,
Yeah.
but try to help
Shipping
when I
with
can.
It's not bad.
Now, Chuck, I love the album title, The Resurrectionist. We did a podcast earlier this year on Burke and Hare, so I dug into the whole Resurrectionist concept, and I am a writer also, and I wrote a novella called Death of a Resurrection Man that was influenced by this whole thing, and I saw this album cover. And I was looking at this today when I posted the review, and I got a good look at the album cover, and I was like, son of a bitch, that's a mort safe on that grave. I definitely was interested to talk to you about how that like album title came to you, and I didn't read all the lyrics, so I didn't look at, and I didn't know if it was more of a conceptual, deeper meaning of what, the term resurrectionist means.
For any of my artwork or even lyrics or anything, things come to me in a trance, right? And for the artwork on the album, like the album was pretty much like done, mixed and everything, and I'm still not having like the album art that I like. I had stuff, but I was not happy. And I'm like, damn. And these guys are getting nervous, and I'm like, yeah, I can't. Like, it's when it comes, and it rains on me like I don't know, blood from the sky. It's like. So all of a sudden, I don't know, I came across a picture of a mort cage, and I'm like, a mort safe or whatever. And I was like, fuck, that's cool. I was like, because I've seen that before, because I know like Herman Mudgett, I don't know if you know who Henry Holmes is.
Oh yeah. I've got a mask of him right up here on the wall.
Oh, good. Okay. Anyways, when he was buried, I think they put cement down so that people wouldn't dig him up or whatever, right?
Oh, right.
But then I was like, and then I looked into it. I'm like, well, what the fuck is this for? And then I just started looking it up, and then I saw like, night doctors and resurrectionists. They would go and like steal corpses, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so
Heavy metal.
It's so kind of
It
like
is
our
so
lyrics
metal.
and stuff.
Ed
Right?
Gein, right?
It's kind of our lyrics kind of stuff, right? In a way, like especially for that. And then I thought, well, these songs, have been buried for like 30 years or something. So it's almost like we're the resurrectionists, and we're bringing this to life. Like we're stealing the corpse of our old songs and making them fresh. Like, you know what I mean? So,
what I was thinking you were going to say, just on a hunch, was that the resurrectionists were making money off the dead. So in essence, that's what you're doing. I know you're not making a bunch of money in a metal band, but I'm using that analogy of trying to make some money, trying to make some money off the dead. So I was wondering if it was like the a barter of death.
It's not money that we're making off the dead. It's more like spiritual energy that we're like releasing. We're taking something that was created in the 90s, right? In the early 90s, and what it meant to us, and the feeling, like, when we play and all that, it's like that feeling and all that. Like we get to bring that up, like resurrect it from the grave almost, and just like cool. And deliver that still once again. And it's like, I love it. Like I fucking love it. Like John says, when we rehearse, he calls it church, or this is our church. And I'm like, yeah, it is. This is our religion. Like, it makes me spiritually cleansed when we fucking play a set, I'm like, yeah, that felt good,
Right.
Now I don't get road rage or sidewalk rage. favorite day of the week.
Yeah,
that's
Sunday.
right.
Spin day.
Sin day. Yeah, that's perfect.
No, that's cool. I was curious about that, but yeah, I love the whole Resurrection Man theme, and like you said, the grave robbers, and the Burke and Hare story is really fascinating. because they just decided to do serial killing instead of digging up the graves because it was easier.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, John, I love the video you guys did for Mass Murder. You guys have already mentioned that. Are there going to be some other videos that you guys are planning to do?
Yes, there's going to be a lot. We filmed 3 videos on that particular day. It was a full day of shooting.
Full day of shooting.
So we got 3 videos that are going to look similar, but at different locations, like quality-wise with the camera, really nice cameras, right? And but we also have plans for a couple of other videos, which will be like studio video for a certain song, which we're going to feature all the lead guitar players, because we got lead guitar players on this album, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll have a couple of lyric videos with animations probably at some point, just to, you know, put it out there.
Very cool.
So
Yeah, that's
expect
great.
a lot. Expect a lot
from
us.
Sure, yeah.
For sure.
There's probably going to be a video coming over the winter for Waltz of the Corpse as well.
Oh,
Oh,
yes.
I love that one. I love the way that starts out.
Concept video for that plan. So
Yeah, I love that one the most. When I watched your DVD, that was the standout track I liked the most. I love the intro to it. I was going to use it for this interview, but I was afraid with that long intro that people might be like, "What the hell's this?" and not listen to it. And I didn't want to chop the intro. So I thought, let's just pick a different song. But I love that song. I didn't know if the intro was too long for playing it as I wanted to play it. So,
you know that song almost didn't make it on the album. Like,
really,
we recorded several songs to put out 2 albums at some point, right? Like, but I wanted to make sure we chose the right songs for the first, release.
I'm not done for the next album.
Yes, you are. And so it was supposed to be Eternal Morbid Dreams, and then Waltz of the Corpse, I just fucking loved it. And I'm like, damn, it sounds so good. I want this on the album instead. So I did the old switcheroo and I told these guys, I have to, because I'm obsessed with stuff, and it needed to be that way.
No, I love that song. I love the title too. It makes you want to go, what the fuck is that about?
Yeah.
So, any tour plans for 2023, guys, with anything in mind?
yeah, for sure, we're going to be trying to do some Canadian dates, hopefully in the spring out west. We would love to go to Europe, but
has to be the right time and the right offer.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's not cheap.
I mean, the States would be awesome too. We're always getting asked to play in the States and stuff, but the cost of work visas and everything else,
it
makes it almost impossible. We got to dip into our own pockets mega, like, just to tour,
Right.
Well, the thing is too, you're not guaranteed, even if you have
to recoup any of it.
a work visa, you're not even guaranteed to get into the country. So you could set up a whole tour.
Yep.
And they could, at the border, they could go, no, we don't think we want you to come into our country. And then you're fucked.
A work visa is like $1,600 or something, right?
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So each guy, like
and that's before we even play shows or pay for gas or pay for flights or fucking equipment rentals or whatever, right?
Yeah, if you ever got to Chicago, I'm about 2 hours south of Chicago. So if you ever got down that far, but that's crazy. I could see why it would be very cost prohibitive. I was talking about this with Corrosive, and they were saying they didn't bring up the work visa thing, but same thing about how expensive it would be to tour. So I get that totally. But what about bands that you guys have been listening to lately? Whether it be local or just a band that maybe you like that you think people don't know about. John, any?
Gorgatron.
What's that?
Gorgatron.
Gorgatron. Rottenness. Deatherist.
Love Deatherist. They're going to be.
Stench of Death is awesome.
Okay. Yeah, I like that new Deatherist album. Actually, I was going to feature those guys here coming up in one of my next turns.
And hey, Tribe of Pazuzu with Nick.
Yes. Yeah, I've heard them before.
They've got a new one coming out soon.
Nihilist Death Cult, Nick's other band.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good
It's
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah, I love asking this question because I'll go back and listen to this and write these down and then go check them out. I know I've heard about, what's that?
Dusk Walker is another one that's I really like.
Duskwalker.
They're from
Okay.
Ontario. Dusk Walker, yeah.
Deathwalker. Okay, cool.
Dusk Walker.
Okay.
I have nothing to say about it.
I learned about some good ones. Schizophrenia, great band. I've been digging those guys. I interviewed them. Corrosive, I heard about for you. In Malice's Wake from Australia, great band, death thrash band.
Nice.
A lot of really good ones out there. Deatherus.
Hey, Pete.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of this is another CDN band, and you probably saw it if you were on the CDN webpage. You're into thrash, right?
Yeah.
What about, have you ever heard of Howler?
I saw, I think, something like
Check
an
them out.
advertisement, but I haven't heard them. Are they good?
Yeah, I think you would like them.
If they're like,
I'm a big thrash guy, like huge into the 80s thrash. You
Right.
would love Howler. They
Okay.
got ripping solos and just good thrash riffs, man.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
What about, have you ever heard Skeleton Pit?
No.
Really good
No, you
thrash
mentioned
band
them
from
last
Germany.
time. I did check them out. and I
Germany,
like
eh?
them.
Huh.
Yeah,
Germany.
German thrash. They're killer.
I like
Skeleton
German
Pit. They're a 3-piece. They're really good. And
Nice.
Schizophrenia I really like. And In Malice's Wake and Harlot from Australia are really good bands.
Nice.
So yeah, just to share a few with you that I've been stumbling across myself. Let's see. What about social media stuff? Anything? I mean, other than Facebook, we had a Facebook page that got fucking taken down by those pricks, and now all we got is the Facebook group, and we've now kind of got our murdermetalmayhem.com page up so that we didn't have to be, censored of what the hell we say. So
That's crazy.
we're trying to do that. Yeah, they no explanation. Just all I knew it was a post from a year ago. A post from a year ago. They just decided to suspend the account, and then it's suspended indefinitely. So
It's happening a lot more across the board, yeah. It's
yeah,
crazy.
it is.
Censorship is real.
Other than
Yeah,
that, though, what do you guys do? Any of the others? You got a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, we've got a YouTube channel.
I'm running the Instagram accounts.
He's got
Okay.
Instagram accounts for both
Yeah.
bands.
Cool.
We're going to be on all the streaming sites.
Great.
they do the Facebook ones. I don't really do any of it at all. I'm on social media, but I don't really respond too much and stuff. So.
I'd like to maybe look into getting a domain name and doing a web page, but again, it's
Time, money.
money and
I was shocked because I used to do web stuff back in the day and like HTML and shit like that. So I was a hack artist. Nowadays, they're all templates. So, I mean, I was able to go check out the Murder Metal Mayhem page. I did that myself with virtually no guidance whatsoever, and it was pretty easy.
Okay.
So let me know if you want to do that. I can maybe steer you in some directions to help with where it's not that much, because I didn't want to break the bank. Where it gets expensive is the commerce. And I set up a web store where I could sell up to 5,000 products. So, but I'm using it for both my writing and the podcast, a joint web store. So
That's awesome.
So yeah, so it's working out pretty good. And seeing some sales. I'm trying to improve, but it's tough, man. There's so much competition, and everybody's doing shit like for the writing stuff. I mean, Kindle and people are selling stuff so cheap. I don't know how you make any money doing it. It's too bad.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same thing with streaming, right?
The streaming stuff is ridiculous.
Bands playing for free, yeah.
Yeah, I had somebody, you guys will get a kick out of this. Somebody I ran into that was asking me about my old band. He's like, man, I seen you guys on Spotify. You ought to be rolling in that cash. I'm like, dude, are you fucking kidding me? I said, you have to listen to an album 70, this is what I've been told, 75 times from front to back to have the equivalent of selling one CD? And how many people, I don't give a shit how much you like an album, can you honestly say you've listened to 75 times front to back? I mean,
I don't think
a small handful, right? If even that. It's ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, you got to be just some mega star to, make any money on the streaming stuff. But
streaming, you don't make money.
The only thing streaming's good for
is exposure.
Yeah, just to get people to hear your music.
Of course.
And then if they like it, hopefully they'll contact you and buy a disc.
I've never, and I'm proud to say this, I've never been tethered to iTunes or Spotify. I have raw CD and files, and I have a lot of vinyl, and that's the way I do it. I don't want to ever put money in the face of iTunes or Spotify.
Yeah, I agree. I use Bandcamp a lot, and what I do, because I like it for the podcast, is I pay for the digital download, and then I have the high quality MP3s to play on the show. So if I just rip them off the internet, they don't sound nearly as thick and as good. So I don't mind plunking down the money. It helps the bands. I try to do them on the Bandcamp Fridays when the band gets all the money, if I can. I can't always do that, but I try. So I mean, we all got to kind of do our part, but I definitely make up for it in concert shirts. So I spend a lot of money on those, and I do enjoy collecting them. All right, now I got to ask this question, and John, I did this to you in our interview we did. I tweaked this a little bit. Of all Canadian, and it's a staple in my interviews I do here for Murder Metal Mayhem. But if you guys had to pick one of the following to be trampled to death in an Immortal Possession mosh pit, and I'm going to go around the horn. I'm going to start with you, John. You got the choice of Justin Bieber, Drake, or any member of Nickelback.
I have to go with Bieber.
Oh, me too.
Bieber. Chuck, what do you think?
I don't think Nickelback that much.
I have to go with Bieber just because of the whole Tim Hortons alliance and all that stuff. But
I'll go with Bieber because his name is Justin, just like Justin Trudeau.
Yeah.
So that's the only reason.
That's the only reason.
That's hilarious. My original version of that question, because I knew from watching you on Facebook, Chuck, I was going to say the politician of your choice. And I thought, you know what? I always try to stay away from politics on anything I do because it's fucking ridiculous. I don't even watch professional sports anymore because I'm so sick of it. So
it's crazy, right? Hey, that's why I mock it, though. You got to understand. I mock pop culture. I mock memes. I make memes that are memes.
No, your shit is hilarious, dude. It's fucking great. I laughed my ass off. Some of it I don't understand because it's like, Canadian issues, some of the stuff. Yeah. Some of it I know about, some of it I don't. I completely tune out. My wife is usually the one who I'll hear, oh, did you hear about this? Like, no, I didn't even know that happened. And I'll check it out, but I love the stuff that you post.
Yeah, straight up.
I love the stuff that you post. That's really great.
Thanks, bro.
Me too. All right. Now, I know how you Canadians are with poutine. Now, the first time I heard that word, I thought it was like a pussy reference. You know what I mean? So I didn't know what. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like kind of laughing. I think Shane brought it up when we had him on the podcast, and I'm like, poutine, what the fuck is that? And then I'm Googling it, and I'm like, oh shit, that looks really good. So for another Canadian episode, I think we did Legier, I made poutine. I ordered the mix off of Amazon from a Montreal-based company. That's like a chain out there, and I bought the poutine mix. Of course, living in the Midwest, cheese curds not a problem all over the place. You know what I mean? So I came pretty close, I think, and it was really good. I really liked it. So I got to ask you guys, how do you take your poutine? Because I know it's different. You could put different stuff on it. Derek, what about you? Are you into it? Do you
I
like
know
it?
This guy's
here,
My favorite food.
he pretty much eats it every day.
I love it.
Really?
I take it intravenously, actually.
We were joking around. That's like our biscuits and gravy, because here in the Midwest, biscuits and gravy is a thing. So I
Yeah.
thought poutine is like Canadian biscuits and gravy, or biscuits and gravy is
Basically, it is.
American.
Or maple syrup and pancakes.
It's definitely my comfort food.
So, but do you
Love it.
put anything on it that's weird? Because Shane was telling me
Oh,
there's
yeah.
like all this, like you
I
could
do
do
all
a
sorts of
veggie,
things.
you could do whatever.
Oh
but-
man,
Sour cream
you
sometimes.
can do so many things, man. Like I would like to put like crumbled bacon, and then I like to put feta, parmesan, and like
Oh wow!
cheese curds, and like I like to do all sorts of stuff, man. You can even put like, there's so many things you can do. Like,
Now my question, Chuck, since you're obviously an expert, I'm not. What kind of fries? Does it matter? I mean, can you use any kind of fries, or is it really?
the red ones are the best.
The red ones for me.
I think the red ones are the best personally as well.
Yeah.
I
The
like
red?
the big gold potatoes.
Those are good.
Gold is good too, but the red ones are good. Hey, but you know what me and
The
Derek do?
russets are really good.
Hey man, you know what me and Derek do?
every fucking
No, well, we do that, but you know what we do? We like to actually mix yams in there too.
Oh,
Sweet
fuck yeah.
potatoes.
Oh wow!
So we started doing that recently, where we mix some yams in with our potatoes and make a mixture, and that's good too.
It is.
Wow.
It's nice to have the.
Yeah,
it's
that
nice to have
sounds
both.
pretty good. Yeah, now I'm getting hungry now.
Oh yeah,
Me too.
But yeah, when I first moved out to the Midwest, I didn't know what biscuits and gravy were, and I went to a truck stop and saw somebody ordered it. I was like, man, what the hell is that? I was like, holy shit, that's really good, but similar with, the gravy, of course, with biscuits instead of potatoes, but similar in, that it's dense and it's, like a comfort food type thing. So
Right.
that's cool. Yeah, I had to ask you guys that. Anything you guys want to add? We talked about a crazy amount of stuff, and I knew we were going to have fun, and this was going to be a good interview. So I added extra questions that I would normally ask. But anything that I didn't mention? I mean, I know we talked about the new album and coming out December 9th, but anything else you guys want to mention?
Well, I think we should mention that there is going to be another album after this.
yeah.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
good to hear.
Yeah.
Very
We just have
cool.
to write a couple more songs to complete the full album, and then
Wow.
Something that we sort of glossed over a little bit was there is guest musicians on this Immortal Possession album.
Yes.
The original Immortal Possession was a 4-piece where the other guitar player was a lead player.
yeah.
But then what had ended up happening was he ended up going to drums. It became a 3-piece. And then after that, we didn't have leads at all for a couple of years. And then,
he left the band.
yeah, well, then he left the band and all that. And then after that, but originally it was 4-piece. So now when we got our friend Lee to come in, he's a rhythm player just like me, and he's really tight, like really awesome. So me and him did each side, left and right. And we're like, damn, you know what? Let's get some guys to put in some leads, right? So we called up some friends, and there's all sorts of our friends.
So
that are
glad we did.
on it.
Yeah, I
So-
thought it was
and they're
cool. I read
amazing.
the lyrics that you sent me, John. It was cool. You saw who's doing leads.
Yeah.
And I saw,
see
too, the violin player, too. That was really
And
cool.
Erin, yeah, she's a violin player that's from Alberta, and she we had originally violins in there too, and we asked her like, hey, you want to do this? And so yeah,
No, that's
So we got
awesome.
them.
No,
Yeah.
I think that's cool that you added the leads, because I like, hearing solos and metal. So,
Yeah.
but
well,
yeah,
you don't hear them on the DVD. You get to hear the riffs, right?
right.
But then when you listen to the album, you're going to hear the leads. So
Right,
You'll
right.
see. You know?
Oh yeah, no, I definitely dug it. That's for sure. So very cool. Well, I'm gonna play out at the end of this interview. I'm gonna play a complete song from the new album, and I chose the song "Wisdom Beyond Mortal Measure."
Nice.
On my first listen, that was the one that really stuck out to me for whatever reason. Listening to it every time, I have a different song, so it's changing each time I listen, which always for me is a good sign that I'm going to like the album for a while.
Yeah.
But what was that? What's that one about? Anybody want to, Chuck, or you want to talk about that?
That's a really older song, as you can tell, because it's got the thrash kind of element, right? And I guess at the time it was about like life and death, and about the afterlife and what's really going on in the world and what humans are and stuff. I didn't know as much as I know now, and it's like so my lyrics are way more deep and way more intense now. So back then the concept was very like, I don't know, just small compared to how it really expands nowadays.
Sure,
you know what I mean?
sure.
But
No,
it's
that's
basically
cool.
just about like, questioning the afterlife and like reincarnation and all that. Pretty much.
Okay, that's
And
cool.
what Derek brought to the table for that song, it totally changed the whole dynamic of it. And it's
Single kick was on the.
It was always a thrash type of
it was
song,
a thrashy
but he's a
song,
thrash master, so it makes it fucking awesome, right?
but he just took it and made it so much better. So
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
the song. It's great. So thank you guys for doing this interview with me tonight. I did really have a lot of fun. Best
Thank
of
you.
luck with the
Thank you,
new
Pete.
album, The Resurrectionist, coming December 9th to CDN Records, and buy the actual physical CD, or buy the digital download. Don't just stream it if you can. Buy some merch. That's what helps the bands keep going. T-shirts, that sort of thing. I know you guys, I saw, had some Immortal Possession merch. Is that through your website, or how do people get a hold of that stuff?
just basically by contacting me through Facebook or any of our
Okay.
social media.
I'll link to you guys in the episode description, so that you guys listening or watching this, go down to the episode description. I'll link to these guys so you can buy their merch. That's how you can keep these guys creating great music. So thank you guys, and definitely keep in touch. And you're always welcome here, John. You're I think the first one I've interviewed a second time around. So
Nice.
you're breaking new ground here, Murder Metal Mayhem. So
Well, it was a pleasure, buddy.
Yeah,
awesome, man. Well, thanks, guys. Horns up from the
Thank you.
U.S. And
Cheers,
best
Pete.
of luck to
Awesome, man.
everything you're doing, man.
Thanks, and to you, buddy.